Hello everyone, welcome to another Sunday afternoon book live. Today we are finishing Skeletons in the Closet, which is, I believe, the fifth Roswell book in the series, in the tie-in companion book series to Roswell. So, we're going to finish this book. We're going to read chapters 18 and 19. And then next will be Dream Walk. So today is the dramatic conclusion of Skeletons in the Closet. And then next week, Dream Walk. Unfortunately, it's just going to be me and Alison today. Michelle had other things going on. So I'm going to read chapter 18. And then I think Alison's going to pop on here and read 19. So that is the plan. So, hello to those of you who are joining us live. And we got Judy. We got, of course, Miss Book Queen herself. Gabby, Jessica, G, and Jody, Sophie, Deb. So, yeah, some of you all may have some issues with these, the trivia questions that were based off these books. But, hey, Jess says if you read these books or if you listen to our book lives, a lot of the answers have already been said in our book lives. If you have not even read the books, they're in our book lives. And if you want to read 8 out of the 11 books, I do have them on PDF and they're on a Google Drive, and I can give you the link if you DM me. So if you DM me, I can send you the link to 8 out of the 11 books, plus all 10 Roswell High books, which are different from these books. So, yep, that is what it is. Okay, so Alison is here. Hey, Alison. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through chapter 18, and then I'm going to let Alison pop on here and read hers. And I don't think we're going to have a recap today by Book Queen, unless, of course, she's feeling up to it. But I don't know. She says it was like an open book test for the trivia. Some of you got it. Some of you didn't. So I'm sorry. I tried to warn y'all there was going to be some book questions. I tried, but I can't, I can't make it happen for everybody. So, all right. So this is Skeletons in the Closet, chapter 18. Boom! In the cramped confines of the bedroom office, the first shot sounded like a howitzer, making Max's ears ring. He barely managed to get his power shield up in time to stop the shell, which hung eerily in the air between himself and Isabel, suspended on the multicolored lines of electromagnetic force that emanated from his palms. Hey, Michelle. Dr. Scarston appeared unfazed by this manifestation of Max's alien powers. Great. Now she doesn't just suspect that we're aliens. Now she knows for sure. Scarston hesitated only for a split second before taking aim a second time. Max thought he might be able to stop another bullet or two before his concentration faltered and one finally got through. He wasn't sure how many bullets were in Scarston's gun, but felt pretty certain he was about to find out. Do I feel lucky? Max concentrated on reinforcing his power shield, watching Scarston very closely as she began squeezing the trigger. Then something heavy collided very hard with the scientist, knocking the gun from her hand and sending her sprawling into a pile of books and papers, scattering them in all directions. Startled, Max dropped his shield. The first bullet he had suspended in flight fell harmlessly onto the carpet at his feet. Nice tackle, Kyle, Max thought, watching as his friend wrestled Scarston back to the carpet as she tried to rise in search of her gun. Isabel reacted quickly, retrieving the pistol before Scarston could reach it. Still on the floor, Kyle continued trying to restrain the scientist, who continued to fight him like a wildcat. Please, Kyle said, through gritted teeth. I lettered in wrestling. I don't want to hurt you. Let go of me! Not until you calmed. Scarston surprised Kyle with an elbow to the belly, but he recovered quickly, effectively pinning her in a painful-looking wrestling hold. Still straining with surprising strength, she burst free again, only to slam her head against a bookshelf with a solid thunk. She slumped to the floor, limp and unconscious, while a winded Kyle lay on his back, laboring to regain the breath that she knocked out of him. Max and Isabel moved quickly towards Scarston, crouching on either side of her. "She's still breathing," Max said to Isabel, his hand on Scarston's neck, "and her pulse is strong. She's only knocked out." Isabel heaved a sigh of relief. "Thank God. We didn't come here to kill her." Hello, Julie. Ashley Myers. Okay. Kyle propped himself up on an elbow, scowling. "I'm fine too, by the way. Thanks so much for asking, and as for the rescue, you're welcome." Max ignored the barb. "You shouldn't have put yourself at risk that way, Kyle. Your dad wouldn't have been very happy with me if you'd gotten shot again." Kyle winced, recalling the occasion when his father had accidentally shot him during a gunfight against FBI agent Daniel Pierce. Kyle would have died that day had it not been for Max's nearly miraculous healing powers. "I've been at risk ever since the day you Martians first landed in my life," Kyle said, getting back to his feet. "I've just learned to calculate a Zen attitude about it." "Speaking of Zen," Isabel said, "doesn't knocking old ladies unconscious go against your Buddhist principles?" "Yep," Kyle said, nodding guiltily, "but so does watching my friends get shot." "Touché," Isabel said, smiling playfully. "I guess decking Dr. Scarston sort of balances things out for you. After you let her kick your butt a few minutes ago, I mean. Sort of a yin and yang thing." Kyle's expression could have turned milk into cheese. "Yin and yang are the balancing forces of the universe, Isabel. What you're talking about is, don't get mad, get even. It's not exactly the same philosophy." "Got it." She bent at the waist and gave him a mock bow. "All right," Max said, growing impatient with the banter. "Dr. Scarston is going to wake up soon. When she does, she's just going to want to shoot at us again. Unless," evidently thinking along the same lines as Max, Isabel finished a sentence for him. "Unless I dreamwalk her again. Show her the truth about us. It's the only chance we have to win her over," Max said, watching his indecision play briefly across his sister's features. It was almost as if she was afraid to go ahead with it. He wondered what she had seen during her last dreamwalk that she hadn't told him about. The moment passed. Isabel picked up Scarston's limp hand and began to concentrate. Once again, Isabel found herself standing in the weird, metal-walled room with a vaulted ceiling. The aliens weren't present, nor were any human abductees being tormented on the tables. But the birthing pods she had seen last time were still in the corner, precisely where she'd seen them in her previous dreamwalk. And Tess stood about a dozen yards away from Isabel, staring intently at the pods as though trying to divine their secrets. No, not Tess, Isabel thought, noticing the young woman's old-fashioned beehive hairdo. This is Jolene Scarston. This is how she looked maybe 40 years ago. "Jolene," Isabel called out. The young woman who was and wasn't Tess turned toward her, apparently unaware of her presence until now. "Oh, it's you," Scarston said, glowering. "So it wasn't enough for you to invade my home. Now you come snooping inside my head. If you've got powers like that, it makes me wonder why you bothered resorting to burglary in the first place." She knows I'm not just some part of some dreamscape, Isabel thought, somewhat surprised. Maybe her altered DNA lets her see things more clearly than normal humans can. At least she hoped that was the case. It would certainly make her job easier. "You're wrong about us," Isabel said, spreading her hands before her in what she hoped was a non-threatening gesture. "All I ask is that you give me a chance to prove it." "You've stolen Christine Morton's face," Scarston said, folding her arms. "Seems to me that's the kind of trick only a hostile alien would pull. Why should I trust you?" Isabel pointed towards the birthing pods, changing the subject in the hopes of getting around Scarston's guard. "You seem pretty interested in these." "I saw them during my abduction when I was a little girl." Isabel nodded, beginning to understand. "But you never found out what they were for." "That's right." Closing her eyes to gather all of her powers of concentration, Isabel said, "Then let me show you." Retrieving her own earliest memories, Isabel reached directly into Scarston's memories, connecting them. Wordless, dreamlike images flashed and faded in a mnemonic fireworks display. A birthing pod, seen from the inside. A little girl coming awake, alone and afraid in a strange dark place. A long-haired female child, clothed only in a layer of alien goo as she emerged from the opening pod. As though suddenly merged into a single being, Isabel and Jolene faced the desert cavern that housed the 4 birthing pods that were part of Isabel's earliest recollections. A pair of young boys, as wide-eyed and confused as the girl, stood nearby. No one spoke. No one needed to. But Isabel knew that Jolene Scarston now understood on some deep, visceral level exactly how she, Max, Michael, and eventually Tess had come into the world, as though she had experienced Isabel's hybrid human-alien origin firsthand, seeing it all through her own eyes. Isabel gently disengaged her memories from Jolene Scarson's, who still stood before her in her own mnemonic alien abduction dreamscape, looking uncannily like Tess. "You really are an alien," Scarson said. Isabel's heart sank. She had meant to win Scarson over, but she had merely driven her further away. "Only a half alien. Half of my DNA came from the people who abducted you. The rest of it came from another human they took." "Christine Morton, no doubt, judging from the resemblance," Scarson said. Isabel was relieved to hear wonder rather than fear in the woman's voice. "And that boy who was beside you?" "Max," Isabel said. "Max. He must have been created from the DNA of Christine's husband, Daryl." Isabel nearly gasped aloud at the confirmation of the images she had seen in her earlier dream walk. How could she and Max, siblings all their lives in Roswell as well as back on their homeworld, have been a married couple in an earlier existence? No, she thought, struggling against waves of revulsion that threatened to capsize her. Daryl and Christine Morton aren't us, and we aren't them. Max and I just happen to be carrying half their DNA. "And Charles Dupree must have been the template for the other little boy you showed me," Scarson said. "Yes, Michael's template. Mr. Dupree died 7 years ago. Michael would have liked to have met him." Scarson's voice grew thick with emotion. "And the aliens used my DNA to produce a daughter. In a way, yes, her name is Tess." "A daughter," Scarson whispered. "I never took the time to have children. I wish I had, but it's too late now." Isabel didn't know how to respond to the profound sadness she heard of Scarson's statement. "The four of you," Scarson said, "have you known one another all your lives?" "Max, Michael, and I have known one another since the beginning. Tess was raised..." Isabel considered telling her about Macedo, Tess's alien guardian, but decided against beginning such a complicated tale. "Tess was raised someplace else. The three of us only met her for the first time last year. But you all found one another." Isabel nodded, eventually. "But please don't ask me to tell you where she is now." "So there's always hope." Scarson reached toward Isabel, finally taking the hand she had offered earlier. "Take me away from these memories. I'm done looking backward." "Gladly. One thing, though. Will you promise not to shoot at us again once we're both awake?" Scarson smiled, the glint of paranoia absent from her eyes. "I can never hurt my children, or their friends." Isabel concentrated, and the dream walk dispersed like a low morning fog. Max watched anxiously as his sister sat on the floor beside the unconscious scientist. More than a minute passed in silence. "She's coming around now," Isabel said, out of her dream walk so suddenly that it was as though she just snapped off a light. Startled, Max turned his attention back to Scarston and braced herself for round two. The scientist's eyes fluttered open as she smiled, looking first at Isabel and then at Max and Kyle. She rubbed the side of her head that had come into contact with the bookshelf. Max was relieved to note that she didn't seem to have suffered any permanent injury. "This young woman has shown me quite a bit about you all," Scarson said to Max. Carefully, Kyle helped Scarson back to her feet. "Meaning the 4 members of the pod squad," he said. "Meaning the 4 of us who are aliens," Max said. Turning towards Isabel, he asked, "How did she know you were inside her mind?" Isabel shrugged. "We know that the Gandarium changed the abductees' DNA. My guess is it made them sensitive to our powers." "I'm also sensitive to when I'm not being told everything," Scarston said to Max. "Tell me about Tess. All of it." Max glanced at Isabel, searching her face for guidance. It mirrored his own helpless expression. "I'm supposed to be King Zan of Antar. I shouldn't be afraid of telling Dr. Scarston the truth about her daughter." Straightening, he turned his gaze back on Scarston. "Back on our home world, Tess and I were married," Max began. He considered telling her that he and Tess were the king and queen of Antar, but decided that it might sound a little preposterous. He decided to stick with the essentials. "Here on Earth, when we were reunited, we tried to rekindle our old relationship. But Tess was different here, maybe because of the influence of the man who had raised her. Tess developed some pretty remarkable powers." "Such as?" Scarston wanted to know. "She could alter people's perceptions of reality, make them think that something was happening when it wasn't. Or maybe make you believe that nothing was happening when in reality something important was actually happening right out in plain sight." "These are the droids you're looking for," Kyle said, affecting a bad British accent. "That sort of thing." Isabel shushed him. Max ignored them both. He maintained eye contact with Scarston as he spoke. But Tess wasn't bad, Dr. Scarston. Even though she was carrying my unborn son, she left the planet. Oh, Tess went bad, that's what he said. But Tess went bad, Dr. Scarston. Even though she was carrying my unborn son, she left the planet. She abandoned me. She abandoned all of us, and before she left, she killed a close friend of ours. Max doubted he could ever find in himself to forgive Tess for destroying whatever future he might have had with the son, or for the murder of Alex Whitman. Tears began welling up in Scarston's eyes. You just gave me a glimpse of the closest things I'll ever have to a child of my own, and then you tell me that she was a bad seed. Isabel looked sympathetic. No, Tess made some bad choices, but she wasn't evil. She did what she had been trained to do by the person who had raised her. Tess isn't evil, Max thought, feeling his facial muscles tighten involuntarily. That's debatable. He considered saying something aloud, but because of Scarston's presence, he decided to let the matter drop. I wish we had better news to give you, Isabel said, looking at Scarston with sympathetic eyes. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry we've had to burden you with so many questions, Max said, but we have something else to ask you. Scarston wiped away a tear. Go ahead. Can you tell us how to reach the Mortons? If you consider yourself Tessa's mother, then the Mortons are, in a way, parents to me and Isabel. A thoughtful expression crossed Jolene Scarston's tear-streaked face. She lapsed into silence, apparently carefully considering what she wanted to say next. No, she said finally. What? Max was taken aback. Can't you tell me anything about them? I could. I can. But I think it might be a lot safer if I didn't. Safer for whom? Said Isabel, obviously shocked as Max. Scarston looked at her as though she were stupid. For the Mortons, of course. Max shook his head. I don't get it. I thought you were starting to trust us. That's just the problem. I am starting to trust you. Maybe too much. Now I really don't follow you, Max said, feeling his frustration mount even higher at Scarston's arbitrary decision. Suppose you really are marauding aliens on Earth for some sinister reason. What if you've only tricked me into trusting you, using powers like the ones you described Tess as having? You're afraid that we're after the Mortons for some reason, Isabel said, that we might actually be planning to hurt them. So far you haven't given me any real proof that you're not trying to do just that. You did just climb into my mind after all. That's 2 attempted burglaries by my account. Burglaries. I can't even pronounce that right. Burglaries by my account. Interesting, Kyle said. They taught us in debate class that you can't prove a negative. Scarston scowled at Kyle. Why exactly are you here again? Kyle looked flustered. Pointing towards his friends, he said, I'm with them, and I used to live with your daughter before she and Max, got pregnant. Max silenced him with a withering glare. I'll just be over here in the corner taking the bullets out of her gun, okay? Kyle said, moving to a far corner of the little bedroom office. Isabel looked crushed. Won't you tell us anything at all about the Mortons? Are they even still alive after all these years? Max asked. Scarston nodded. I think I could safely tell you that. They're alive, healthy, and still married. But they've been worried ever since 1947 that the aliens might come back for them someday, so they changed their names and established new identities a long, long time ago. Max reeled. Married? He looked towards Isabel, who appeared to be taking this information in stride. Clearly she had already known that the genetic templates were a married couple rather than siblings, as the 2 of them had been all their lives, both in Roswell and back on Antar. She just hadn't seen fit to tell him yet. I guess we're not going to untangle that particular mystery anytime soon, he thought. Not until we find another way to meet up with Daryl and Christine Morton. Max looked Scarston in the eye. Despite his frustration, he had to admit that he might have made the very same decision were he in her place, especially if the safety of his friends were at stake. Realizing that he couldn't fault her for her own loyalty, and his anger towards her began to dissipate. And he suddenly realized some of his long-festering ill will towards Tess now seemed to be evaporating as well, thanks to the essential decency of Tess's genetic template. I'm glad you're someone who takes such good care of her friends, Max said to Scarston. Maybe her loyalty proves that Isabel is right about Tess. Maybe Tess isn't really evil, at least not all the way to the core. Nothing is more important than loyalty, Scarston said, to one's family and friends. I only wish I had been able to tell that to my daughter. Max and Isabel exchanged a glance that made it clear to each other that it was time to leave. Kyle, watching them from the corner, set the empty pistol on a chair and moved towards the door. After Kyle and Isabel had filed out, Max paused in the doorway and looked back at Scarston. Will you give the Mortons a message for us? Scarston appeared to debate the matter for a moment before nodding her assent. Thank you, Max said. It's a message I'd like you to remember too, and it's simply this. The four of us never asked to be reborn with DNA stolen from abducted humans. I can't begin to tell you how much the whole idea of your abduction horrifies us. But three of us have worked very hard to live down the violence of our origins. We try to save lives and make the world better any way we can. We may not be your children, but we hope that the good that we've done, the lives that we try to lead, will make you proud someday. We're sorry about the horrors of your past. That past won't be your legacy. The work you've done, Dr. Scarson, will be that legacy. Ours is still to come. Max reached for her face. She didn't flinch as he touched the bruise on the side of her head. He concentrated for a moment, feeling the power moving gently through his body. He watched as the swelling and discoloration lessened, then faded away entirely. He smiled at her as she touched the spot where the bruise had been, a look of unabashed wonder on her face. Then he turned and followed his friends down the stairs and out into the hot desert air. Alone in the upstairs sanctum of her townhouse, Jolene Scarson listened as the three teenagers walked down the stairs and let themselves out. Had they been telling her the truth? Hadn't one of them literally shown her the truth? She wasn't sure, even now. She knew she couldn't risk believing for the sake of the Mortons, but she knew that she would give her friends the alien teen's message. She would do at least that much for them, because she wanted very much to believe at least some of what they had told her, even if the implications were bittersweet. I have a daughter. I have a grandson. She crumpled to the floor weeping, but they're both light years away from me. That's chapter 18. All right. Hello, everyone who's come in while I was reading. Akimi and Ashley and a lot of these people who are participating in the trivia. Brandy, Karen, Julie. Some people are going to get bonus points. All right. Alison. Let's see if she's ready.
Hey. I should be okay in my room because I updated my phone, so I think it should be okay, but if there's an issue, I'll move.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you and see you fine, so hopefully it'll stay that way. Okay.
Chapter 19. Okay, let me put my phone up here so I don't have to hold it. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Okay, chapter 19. Jeff Parker delivered a final plate of Will Smith burgers, Moon Rock hash, Orbit rings, and Men in Black berry pie to the table the group had pushed together. Will there be anything else, or can I shut down the grill before you kids eat me out of all my inventory? Sorry, I'm just going to mute my sound on the computer real quick. Okay. Liz stood and hugged her father. No thanks, Dad. You and Mom go upstairs and do, well, whatever you do when we're not around. We need to do some more teen talk, her father offered. Liz tried not to giggle, as Maria made a face like she had just eaten a lemon, and Kyle rolled his eyes. Yeah, Daddy, teen talk. She waited until he had exited the cafe through the swinging door, then peeked through the crack to make sure he had truly gone upstairs. Returning to the table, she popped Kyle on the head. Ow, what was that for? He asked. For rolling your eyes at my dad. He was being corny, Kyle protested. Isabel looked sideways at him, her face registering exaggerated shock. This from the Zen master? Okay, so finish the story, Maxwell, Maria said, leaning over to grab an orbit ring. She put several on Michael's plate as well and admonished him. If I'm going to have onion breath, so are you. Well, after Kyle heroically subdued the 60-year-old woman who knocked him out. Hey, she caught me by surprise, Kyle protested, chagrined. Anyhow, Isabel dreamwalked her and revealed a bunch of stuff to her about us. So now she knows you're aliens too? Maria asked, her mouth open. Why don't you hire a publicist? Then you won't have to tell folks your secret one at a time. Right, said Max, shrugging. Oh, I know you didn't just shrug, Maxwell, Maria said, putting her hand up, palm out toward Max. We go to all the trouble of protecting your secret identities just so Isabel can dreamwalk her and tell her the truth. We needed her to trust us, Isabel said, putting down her meteor shower malt. Liz watched Isabel discreetly, add a hefty quantity of Tabasco sauce to it now that Jeff Parker had left. Besides, Scarston spent too much of her life hiding from aliens to ever start going after them, Kyle added. I doubt she's going to be stalking any of you pod squatters. So what did you get out of the trip to Santa Fe? Michael asked. Was she able to tell you anything that might help us? Not really, Max said. She wouldn't tell us where the Mortons are. But I asked her to tell them about us and apologize for everything she and all of our human templates suffered during their abductions. Did you leave the Grindarium with her? Liz asked, concern in her voice. Yeah, she knew more about it than we do, and I think she'll end up doing some good with it in the long run. You've got a lot of faith in someone you just met, Liz said, especially someone who looks so much like. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Max took Liz's hand in his. She's not Tess. She never was Tess. She's more like Tess's mother, only Jolene Scarston never got to raise her child. Maybe if she had raised Tess, she wouldn't have turned out as bad as she did. Liz decided to let the matter drop. What mattered was that they were all safe. I think she'll eventually tell us, Isabel said. How will she find you? Kyle asked. Isabel tapped her forehead. I'll keep in touch with her by dream walking. Not very often, just once every now and then. And Max leaned forward to look at Michael, who was sitting on the other side. Okay for you in court today. Yeah, I guess, Michael said, shrugging. Maria grabbed him by the ear and pinched him, prompting him to quickly amend his statement. Ow! I mean, it went great. I think they're finally off my back and they're rooting for me. He saw Isabel frown and added, everyone who was in town, that is. So was Jesse great? Isabel asked, perking up. She saw them all turn to stare at her, and she sipped her shake demurely, and then added, well, and all, was his performance in court good? Yeah, after he got over his habit of looking down his nose at me, he did a pretty good job, Michael said, conceding. Body. He started to tickle her. She squirmed away and pointed. What
Oh, yeah.
happened?
Some
It's
of
cutting out.
I mean, some of the words are cutting out, but I can still hear
Can you
you
hear me
okay.
now? Should I move?
Yeah. It's just it cuts in and out a little bit
if you guys
while
can hear
you're
me better.
reading. Oh, that's even worse right there. I don't know, but you're moving, so that's probably why.
Another room. I'll move.
You're loading for me. Okay.
Okay. Hold on. Let me.
That's even worse.
Go back
wherever you are.
into
It's
my.
even worse. Yeah.
But now. Now she's. No.
I can hear you, but your image isn't catching up with where you are yet. Oh, wait. Maybe. I can hear you, but like the image is just keeps loading and cutting in and out for me. I don't know if you should reconnect. I couldn't even make it through the whole chapter. I think you were actually, even though it was cutting in and out a little bit in your room, I think that was the best connection you had, because wherever else you went, it was even worse. So.
Oh, okay. Should I keep going?
Said she.
Or...
No. Hold on. Let's make sure it's
reconnect.
Back to where you were.
Oh, okay.
I think it's better now. Okay, I think it's better now. I think it's better. I think you probably shouldn't have even left your room. I think it was fine. It was cutting in and out a little bit, but it wasn't that bad. Not as bad as it was when you went somewhere else. People are saying it's good now, so.
Okay, I can reconnect if you want me to.
Yeah.
Okay, I can try it again. Okay. Sorry about where I was. I'm going to go from 219. Okay. She squirmed away and pointed at him, speaking in a stern tone. Kyle, don't you dare tickle me, the desk clerk. Kyle immediately withdrew his hands, but busying them and said, "This is kind of awkward, but none of us have really talked about it. Michael, how do you feel about Hank's death?" Everyone looked to Michael for his reaction. He calmly ate an orbit ring, betraying little emotion as he answered in a slightly snooty British accent. "Why, thanks for asking, Liz Buzzkill. Not that's a touchy subject or anything." Liz groaned. "I'm sorry. It's okay," Michael said. "Everyone's probably been asking the same question in their heads anyhow. And at the risk of sounding like one of those South Park episodes with 'We've all learned something here today,' I can honestly say that I have learned something. I feel bad that Hank is dead, and I'm not happy that a certain someone who is no longer with us probably did it. That being said, one of the things that'll keep me snugly warm as I sleep tonight is knowing that I can beat him in the end. My past on Antar didn't make me what I am. Charles Dupree didn't make me what I am. Nasato didn't make me what I am. And certainly Hank Whitmore didn't make me what I am." He paused long enough to put another orbit ring into his mouth. "For better or worse, I'm the one who is my future. When I dreamwalked Dr. Scarston," Isabel said, "if saw a gallery of portraits of people who looked a lot like me, Max, Michael, and Tess. A few of the pictures looked unfinished. I think now I'm beginning to understand why. Finishing the paintings is up to us." Everyone seated around the table sat in contemplative silence. Suddenly, Michael pointed over toward Isabel. "Would you pass the Tabasco sauce, alien wench?" The moment was further broken by a sharp rap on the window of the Crashdown Cafe. Everyone turned and looked to see Jim Valenti and Amy DeLuca standing outside, holding hands in the clear summer night air. They both waved. Liz got up and gestured with her arms as if inviting the couple to join them inside. But Valenti waved and mouthed, "No thanks." The two adults moved on, but Liz caught Michael giving Valenti a thumbs up sign before he was out of view. "Ah, young love," said Isabel. "Nice to see they're still dating. It's sweet." Maria blanched and leaned forward, her eyes wide. "Sweet? It's you. I have to live with the thought of two old people in my own house. What is this world coming to?" She shuddered theatrically, shoved an orbit ring into her face so quickly that she had to open her mouth to avoid having the food smushed against her lips. "You could do a lot worse for a stepdad, Maria," he said as she chewed.
Is it cutting out for everybody else?
Oh,
it's cutting out really.
Grab the hot sauce.
Okay. The sound is
No more
cutting out really bad for me.
Tabasco for you, mister. That's some crazy talk there. "Why?" Liz asked, laughing. "Because if my dad and Amy got together and married, that would make me and Maria
Okay. I think she's going to try to reconnect. Might have to just reread some of the last couple pages because it's just a bad connection on Allie's part. For whatever reason, it's great for her on Zoom, but on IG Live, not as great. So, sorry guys. what you deal with when you have technology. It doesn't always work. And her audio wasn't syncing up with her video for me at all. Like, I could hear her sound before the video matched up with it. So it was really weird. I don't know. Let me have Allison reconnect and we'll see if that works. If it doesn't work, then maybe I'll reread the last couple pages.
Anyone there?
Hey, let's see if this
Christy,
works any better.
Can you guys hear?
Okay, now it's kind of working a little bit better.
Can you guys hear? Okay.
I was thinking about it, but if your connection is still bad, then I'll reread.
Which part was it that cut out? Paragraph.
Pretty much the last couple pages were starting to cut out for me. I don't know how it was for other people. Okay. It's even worse now. Like, it's not even, like, the audio and the video is not matching up.
You guys hear now?
Last two pages were bad. Okay. Allie, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reread the last two pages just because it keeps, your connection just keeps messing up. So that's what I'm going to do. So, Allie, I'm just going to exit that. It's like it's not working that well. So I'm just going to reread the last two pages instead, and I'll just X you out. So, yeah. Okay. Sorry, Allie. It was just too much back and forth with that. Okay, I'm going to reread the last two pages because Allison's connection is kind of iffy. So I'm going to reread from the top of page 220. Okay. Can everyone hear and see me okay? Sorry about Allison's connection. Allie, I love you, but your internet connection for IG Live just really sucks. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that either, Allie. Okay. So I'm just going to make sure you guys can hear and see me fine, which I think so. So, yes. Okay, great. Becky said yes. Okay, great. All right, top of page 220. I feel bad that Hank is dead, and I'm not happy that a certain someone who is no longer with us probably did it. That being said, one of the things that'll keep me snugly warm as I sleep tonight is knowing that I can beat him in the end. My past on Antar didn't make me what I am. Charles Dupree didn't make me what I am. Niceto didn't make me what I am. And certainly Hank Whitmore didn't make me what I am. I keep saying what I am. Okay. He paused long enough to put another orbit ring into his mouth. For better or worse, I'm the one who determines my future. That was all Michael speaking, by the way. When I dreamwalked Dr. Scarston, Isabel said, I saw a gallery of portraits of people who looked a lot like me, Max, Michael, and Tess. A few of the pictures looked unfinished. I think now I'm beginning to understand why finishing the paintings is up to us. Everyone seated around the table sat in contemplative silence. Suddenly, Michael pointed over towards Isabel. Would you pass the Tabasco sauce, alien wench? The moment was further broken by a sharp rap on the window of the Crashdown Cafe. Everyone turned and looked to see Jim Valenti and Amy DeLuca standing out, holding hands in the clear summer night air. They both waved. Liz got up and gestured with her arms as if inviting the couple to join them inside, but Valenti waved and mouthed, no thanks. The two adults moved on, but Liz caught Michael giving Valenti a thumbs-up sign before he was out of view. Ah, young love, said Isabel. Nice to see they're still dating. It's sweet. Maria blanched and leaned forward, her eyes wide. Sweet? It's ew. I have to live with the thought of two old people doing it in my own house. What is this world coming to? She shuddered theatrically. Michael shoved an orbit ring into her face so quickly that she had to open her mouth to avoid having the food smushed against her lips. You could do a lot worse for a stepdad, Maria, he said as she chewed. Kyle grabbed the hot sauce bottle. No more Tabasco for you, mister. That's some crazy talk there. Why? Liz asked, laughing. Because if my dad and Amy got together and married, that would make me and Maria stepbrother and stepsister, Kyle said. Smiling broadly, he pointed the bottle at Michael and added, and I'm not sure I'd approve of an alien dating my sister. The 6 teens began to laugh, filling the Crashtown Cafe with a joyous abandon of youth. And that's the end of Skeletons in the Closet. Thank you all for bearing with us for the technical difficulties. I know that's kind of like unfortunate. But yeah, so we are going to read Dreamwalk next. That has Kyle and Isabel on the cover. So it's a very Kyle and Isabel centric book for Dreamwalk, which will be next Sunday. We'll start that. Jess, I'm going to ask Jess if she wants to come in here, but I don't think she wants to hop on. But I'll ask anyway and see if she says yay or nay. Otherwise, I'm going to get off. I'm going to try to work on a few little things for the trivia. And I have to actually post the trivia questions for today because I didn't get a chance to do that before I hopped on here because I just got up the Zoom and came on here. But I will post the trivia questions for today. I may not have the scoreboard ready until later tonight. And then, yeah, but I'll definitely post the questions in the next probably half an hour or so. Okay, this is what Book Queen's saying. Oh, right. Jess said she can't come on because she's got people over. Okay, but Jess says for the next book, you might want to rewatch season 2 last episode to remember what Kyle went through. So watch Departure. Watch the season 2 finale, Departure, before the next book. And that will help you remember what Kyle is going through. Okay, good tip. Good tip. Any other tips from the Book Queen before I end the live? I'll give it a minute. If there's any other last minute things. But other than that, I'm going to do my best to put up the questions, which are kind of, they're going to be based off the TV series, so no more book questions. I know that all threw y'all off before. People were like, what is this book questions? People didn't understand. So today's questions might be a little bit easier on some people. And I'm going to throw some bonus questions in there, I think, about Roswell, like the actual town in general, just to see if people get it or not. So, okay. I think that's it. I don't think we have any other tips. Skeletons in the Closet, good book. I think Dreamwalk's going to be a good book. I'm looking forward to Dreamwalk because I love Kyle and Isabel stuff. I love any Kyle and Isabel scenes. I love their friendship. I would have loved them as a potential couple, but they're very underrated. Didn't happen. So, yes. Okay. Allison's asking what comes up. I don't know what you're referring to exactly. But yeah, that's it for today's live. So thank you all for joining us. And anyone who's here, who's participating in the trivia, I'm going to give you bonus points. I'm going to give anyone bonus points who I've been seeing at the rewatch, the Zoom, and the book library here. I'm just going to, on the last day, I'm just going to add in some bonus points. Probably add in some bonus points for, my own possible miscalculations. Because I feel like, what if I miscalculate people's score? I'm not great at math, so I'm trying to do math and do all this stuff. So, using a lot of calculator. Using the calculator a lot. Okay. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Allison, for reading, even though her connection was kind of messy. Jess said something comes up a lot, but I missed it. She said Dreamer stuff. There's Dreamer stuff coming up. Lots of Max and Liz stuff, I guess. So, and Kyle and Isabel stuff. So, yay. Okay. Love you guys. I will see you next time. I will see you later, later this week, but definitely next weekend you'll see my face in person. So, yeah. And if I don't see you before Christmas, which I probably won't, Merry Christmas, or Happy Holidays if you don't celebrate Christmas. And yeah, that's it.